Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. This week's show, we're going to recap Fight to Win 211, talk a little about ADCC and Mo Jassim getting the coordinator position again for 2024, talk a little about UWW, the World Grappling Championships that are coming up this next weekend, talk a little bit about previewing no-gi pans for the IBJJF, and a couple other things, including EBI, the Return of the Absolutes. As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, with my co-host,
Austin.
How you doing, Austin?
I am well. Let's get it going.
Let's get it going. Talk right into that mic.
Yeah, as always.
As always with Austin on the show. Hey, man. You've been sick this last week.
Yeah, getting over it. I'll probably be fine. A little less mat time than normal, which is like every day. So, last couple days off the mats, but I'll be all right.
So let's get into it. Let's do news. I think the biggest news item we now found out, I think today, or I think in the last couple of days, Mo Jassim was the event coordinator for ADCC 2019, was the event coordinator for 2022.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's every other year now. It's even years now, which is just going to screw me up for a long time.
Right, yeah.
And now got the bid for ADCC 2024. So previously, if you kind of don't know the history here, we're going to talk about the history because it's very interesting this week if you don't know it. ADCC is always, then we're going to get into previews, and previews are fun this week. ADCC is always, historically, has always been done by a different promoter every other year, essentially. So no promoter has ever had ADCC twice. Mo, in 2019, basically did such a great job as the promoter that he was like, look, I did a great job. I can do even better in 2021, what became 2022. Let me do it again. And they were like, yeah, no one else has ever, like, made this a professional event like this. Yeah, we'll let you do 2020, what turned into 2022.
Right.
And then, so there was a big question of like, hey, because Mo kept going like, I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do it again.
I think he likes that, though. I think he likes kind of keeping people kind of on the hook for,
Wait,
right there?
Right there.
I think he likes kind of keeping people on the hook for him being a personality in the sport, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I appreciate it.
He live streams a ton. Even during the event, he was live streaming like in between the days of the tournament. Yeah. So it was awesome. He was, kind of saying how it went. Like, hey, you didn't like this thing? I don't care that you didn't like this thing. This is how it's going to go. I like that he's a personality. He's kind of in terms of grappling, and especially for ADCC, he's like just as big of a personality as like, it's almost analogous to like Dana White in the UFC.
Yeah, especially in the early days where it's like he's the guy, he's calling the shots, but he's also like standing behind his product and talking about it. And, and that's one thing he talked about, making the change from 2019 to 2021. He's like, look, I know I have, because he was very, very, like, not secretive is the right word, but very like not in a public facing eye. He was like, look, I realize that if I'm going to be the promoter here, like I have to take a bigger role in like talking to the community and being present and being like putting a face to the organization so people understand like, yeah, this is the guy running it. And I think especially for 2022, he made a big change for that. So moving into 2024, the big question was, is he going to do it again? Right. And he got the bid. And basically the question is, well, now like Mo is the guy that's running this, and he's talked about, and he's already in a Reddit thread where people talked about it, and he's in that thread talking to people like, hey, we're going to make this change and this change and this change. Like, talked about, he's already addressed some of the pacing things. People were kind of upset about some of the pacing issues. It's like, yep, we're going to fix some of the pacing issues. We're going to probably change Hall of Fame to either Saturday or to Friday. Yeah. We're going to change.
I think that'd be a good change.
Yeah. I mean, we all thought it would be a good change. Like, we're going to do assigned seating, which we really liked. Like, because it was, we got there, I think 3.5 hours before day 2 started, before it started. Sure. Technically, we were supposed to be there like 2 hours before, but then it was delayed 1.5 hours. So we sat in our seats for almost 4 hours before. So like getting assigned seating would help us prevent that. And so like, he seems to have already have a big list of changes that he's looking to make for 2024. And I am very happy that he's running it again, because again, look at the previous ADCCs. Like, we very much, and that's one of the reasons he kind of spoke to for why he wanted to keep it, is that I don't want to take all this momentum that we have and go back and have someone that's going to squander it and like that's not going to put the money up. Because an interesting thing about ADCC, and a lot of people don't know, and I think Seth and Mo were on a podcast recently talking about it, and I realized then that it was like, oh, this isn't a public thing. That
I didn't know until you told me.
Yeah. ADCC, like Abu Dhabi doesn't pay for everything up front. Like, you pay for, like, Abu Dhabi pays for flights and hotels for the athletes and stuff like that, and prize money. The promoter for ADCC, and Mo in this case, and then he has his team with Seth and Sean and the guys that he brings in, you pay for everything up front. Right. You get all the profits for the event, but you pay for, like, you want to book a venue, cool, you pay for that. Like, you want to book the Thomas and Mack Center, like, you pay for that arena booking yourself. You want to do this. You want to bring in, you know, all of those extra things that you decide to do. You want pyro, you want production, you want walkouts, you want lighting, stage. Like all of that stuff is things that you have to pay for and fees that you have to incur for the organization. And Abu Dhabi like doesn't just go write you a check for it. Like, no, it's on you.
Yeah, it's really interesting. That's more like a donation on the behalf of the sheikh. I thought it was for sure he funded the whole thing. I didn't know that until you told me. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and it just doesn't come up very often. But you need someone that like Mo who's willing to go, yeah, I'm all in on this. I'll put, I think, millions of dollars.
Oh, it has to be millions.
Into it. I don't know what the public number is.
Sure,
a couple million into
just
getting
the production
all of
value
that.
of everything.
Right,
like alone had to be
how many
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You had I think 100 people on staff that you're paying like out of pocket to do that event. Like that incurs huge fees, and I'm very happy that Mo is like willing to take that on again, essentially, and continue to push the sport forward. Because being at 2019, were you at 2019?
I was not at 2019.
2019 to 2022 to then what I assumed, like the growth that moved 2024. Mo has already talked about kind of wanting a bigger arena, like like tickets were sold out. Ideally, tickets don't get sold out next time. Like I think that 2019 was his first event. He now ironed out more kinks in 2022. I think in 2024, it's going to be like, okay, I now know what the grappling community can support and what we're looking for more. It's not my first event. It's not my second event. It's the third event. Now we can go. It's going to be in Las Vegas again, which I appreciate. He got permission again to do it in the U.S., and that was one of the discussions that we had on the show, you know, internally and even on the podcast, was like, you know, this is going to be the last time it's been in the U.S. for a long time.
Sure.
You know, we're really had to budget. We were thinking like, oh, it's going to be in Singapore next time. It's going to be like, how much are we going to pay $3,500 per person for a flight out there? And then, you know, is this going to turn into a $6,000 trip to go to ADCC?
Yeah.
You know, something I had to start budgeting for like
I think most of the fan base is probably between the States and Brazil. So it's like, it'd be pretty insane to not have it in one of those two places. I mean, yeah, you'd have some crazy investing power, I'm sure, with like some of the high rollers that could go to some of these other locations. But in terms of actual attendance, which I think that's what Mo and for sure what Seth want, they want it to be. They want it to be a big event. Yeah. They want it to be like a professional event, not just people who have money.
And that's also why the big thing Mo was like in the lead up to 2022 and even in 2019, he was like, I want the tickets to be affordable for grappling fans. He was like, you know, I think we paid 200 something. We got like tier 4. We got tickets at the highest price that you could get for the section we were in.
I got pretty good deal.
Well, you got in early. I didn't get in early. I had a bunch of issues with getting the tickets from my end.
Sure.
But a couple $100 for what essentially was a 14-hour day and a 16-hour day of the top grapplers in the world. Like, definitely
worth it.
That's the no-brainer. And like, but again, they weren't $1,000 tickets for that event. Like, they're affordable for Rachel and me, for me to buy tickets for my wife and I to go out to Vegas and go see this event. And like, Mo wants to keep it that way, where it's like, yeah, I want average grappling fans to be able to go and come to this and experience that. And again, someone with a vision like that to continue to push the sport forward and to do all of that work up front on like, you're gonna recoup most of it at the end,
right?
But Mo doesn't. It doesn't seem like it's a for the money thing for Mo.
It doesn't.
It seems like, hey, I like this sport.
Of course,
I want this sport to get bigger. And so I'm going to push that. So I'm really excited to have him run 2024. He's shown that he can do it. And I can only assume that it's going to be essentially like 10 times what it was.
Yeah.
And it's in Vegas again.
Which is awesome.
Which Vegas, there's stuff to do in Vegas. Oh no, 2024, I got to fly out for a week to do Vegas again. Oh no, probably going to have another open. Might ref the open again. Like, there's so many things about the Vegas.
I'm like assuming they're going to have another open.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of nuts to not, from like just thinking about it from like a money perspective.
All of the grapplers.
It's a big draw. It's a bunch of grapplers who want to come there. It's like, oh well, now if I have to spend another, I don't know, $100 or so to get to compete, and then say like, hey man, I got to compete at ADCC.
Right.
Obviously, you're not in the championship, the world championship.
That's what I wanted. He was like, you got to say I competed in the Thomas and Mack arena 2 days before the world championships, like on those same mats. Like, that's cool. And that was like, it was a really cool. I've talked about judging that open a couple of times on the podcast already, but it was a really cool experience to be a judge in that arena with the grapplers. Like, they had beginners division, they had pro divisions, they had like an absolute final, and like there were a lot of storylines that came out of that. And that was a huge tournament, independent of the world championship, because you had everyone that was a fan of professional and competitive grappling in the city anyway. It's like, hey guys, you're here to watch the big one anyway. you want to compete too?
Yeah, of course.
And a lot of people were like, well, I'm already here. You know, or like, oh, I'm already here with my teammate, or like, oh, the guy from our gym that's in ADCC, I guess we'll compete too. Like, we're already all in camp for ADCC with that guy. Yep. And there were a bunch of people, guys that I ref and people we've talked to after that were like, oh yeah, I was gonna be in town for ADCC, and we'd done nothing but ADCC prep for the last 6 months.
Yes, they felt ready to compete for sure.
So we just decided I got to go and do the open.
Yep.
And then it gives me more familiarity with the rule set. So when I go and do trials and then win trials, like, and so it's interesting that in conjunction with Seth and Mo doing more ADCC opens across the country. And you can listen to Carlos Diaz and I, the referee and judge for ADCC, on the interview on the Grappling Around YouTube page, talk about that a little more of like the plan to do more opens in
it's a great idea.
America, which is great. I think I love that ADCC is pushing the sport forward. And you and I have talked a bunch about the rules and the rules
we have talked about the rules
we don't like.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome. And I'm very, very happy that we found this news out, and then hopefully, you know, I'm not worried about 2024 now, where it's like you're going to get a new green promoter that's not going to know what to do, and we're going to go back 5 years.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The progression will probably still. Well, I mean, I can't imagine it would backslide when you have some of the continuity that you've had over the last 2 ADCCs. So
yeah, I mean, there were so many people that I knew that couldn't get tickets to it. I hope that I hope that's not the case. I hope that, again, I hope I can buy tickets for more than 2 days.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the assigned seating might make that a little more difficult, I guess. Because it was general seating, it was very easy for all of us to buy, you know, for our group of people, mostly like the Rewind podcast folks, to buy tickets and it's like, hey, we're all in the same section. We can just sit together every day.
Right.
Maybe assigned seating will make that more difficult. We'll see how the website goes. But I think assigned seating will probably be better for the actual day when you get there.
I can get there when the event starts or right around the event starts, as opposed to all of us needing to get there hours early.
Yeah,
to,
not worried about people like snaking your seat or something like that.
Right, and
not that really happened a whole lot, but
yeah, online it happened a little bit, and like Mo's working to address it, and like he's working to correct those things, and that's awesome. I am a fan. I'm a planner, and if you know, I've run the show for many, many years. Everyone on the team knows, and most of the folks that listen to the show know that I am a kind of to the T planner. Not having assigned seats, like, it gives me anxiety.
Yeah, man. You were stressed about it.
Yeah.
Like, dude, there's 9 of us. No one's going to take our seats.
Dude, I was worried the whole time.
Like, yeah, but if I go to the bathroom, we watch my seat.
I'm like, yeah, there's 4 of us. Yeah.
It'll be fine.
And so I love, like, hey, here's my ticket. Here's my seat.
Yeah.
That's where I sit.
For sure.
I like that. And so that is a huge stress reliever for me as a neurotic person. So it'll be good. I'm excited. I hope they get one of the big arenas in Vegas.
I'd imagine they're only going to get bigger.
I mean, I assume, like, they sold out Thomas and Mack. We sold out Thomas and Mack. Like, I assume, and it sold out quickly.
Yeah.
And people, like, all you saw online was like, I have tickets, we have tickets. And, like,
right.
I hope that it's big. It doesn't, I hate to say it, I would love to have it not sell out. So it's like, I would love to have the option, like, tickets to the door.
Right.
Like, guys from our gym that like, oh, I want to go. Like, hey, man, you want to fly to Vegas this weekend? You can get tickets to the door. There are tickets available. Like,
right.
I would love that to be an option for me or people in the community. Like, hey, guys that are a fan of jiu-jitsu white belts that are, you know, getting into the sport, then they've been doing it for 8 months.
Yeah.
Like, hey, oh, there's a thing? Yeah, we're going to Vegas to it. You want to come? Like, yeah, I'll come. Like, give those people that, you know, may not have the planning and, like, the thought that we have 2 years in advance. Like,
right.
The minute tickets are live, we're all going to buy tickets.
Right.
Giving them an opportunity to go and, like, hey, I want to go now. Being able to go.
Right.
Like, so it's cool. I'm excited. Any other kind of thoughts on that?
No, super excited. Congratulations to Mo.
Yeah, awesome. Cannot wait to see what he does with it. So, do we have any other news? Oh, yeah, so off ADCC news, more on other promotion news. I don't think we talked about it last week. BJJ Stars is having a Leandro Lo, I assume these Brazilian words, or these Portuguese words, are Leandro Lo Memorial. The Instagram Translate says Leandro Lo Memorial. They're running a card. It looks like it's a pay-per-view, but it also looks like it's being streamed on Flow, but Flow doesn't have it listed right now, so I don't know exactly what's up. Regardless, we're going to watch it, but we have the names and announcements for who is going to be... Dogs walking around. For who's going to be on that card coming up, and actually it's some really, really good names, and let's run through some of them because... it should be hot fire. I think this is the main event for the event. We have Azaki Behance taking on Michael Galvao.
Yeah. There's 2 super fights. That's one of the 2. I'm super excited for the second one, which is Nagai versus Andre.
Yeah, Sam Nagai versus Fabricio Andre.
Yeah, so those are the 2 big super fights that are on that card.
Well, there are a bunch of super fights.
Those are the 2 of the biggest names, I think. Of course, there's a lot of other big names, but
yeah. We also got Paulo Miao versus Alexandre Vieira. We have Thalata Silva versus Bia Mesquita. That's a big super fight. Marcos Pinto. I always can never get Marcos' last name. Petros versus Jansen Gomez. Jansen's the guy we've seen,
he did really well on Who's Next.
Yeah. Yeah. We got him mixed up with a guy on Pans earlier.
We did.
Yep.
Janatis Gomez. But Jansen Gomez, super good athlete.
Pedro Machado's on here with Ryder Zertri. We have Ana Rodriguez versus Maria Claudia. We have Victor Doria versus Roberto Godoni. That'll be a fun, old school guy match. And we have Ingrid Alves versus Sabatha Lathis. So that should be a super fun card. We'll probably preview that in more depth this is on October 21st. So we'll probably preview that kind of in a greater depth next week's show.
Yep.
And we'll kind of talk more about the matchups, the dynamics, who we think's going to win.
Sure.
I'm never going to pick against Michael Galvao.
How can you, man?
Unless she's Cade Rotolo, and even then, that match could have gone either way.
That match was amazing. And then also, I don't think anybody who would have picked either way on that had a good line on who's going to win for a specific technical reason. Just I like this guy more, and maybe he wins.
That was kind of the funniest thing about that Cade versus Micah pick for the ADCC final was it was you can point to all these technical reasons because both guys are so strong.
Would you have picked the way that it ended? Would you have picked inside heel hooks the way that?
I actually,
Did you really?
So here's why.
Okay.
I think I did it in the podcast because it was you always have a question. I might have said this only off the podcast, but you always have a question about young Brazilian prodigies and leg lock defense. Look at Duarte. Look at there's a couple guys you can point to where it's amazing, but there's occasionally that little. If there is going to be a hole. It's going to be with a heel hook defense. And if you're going to find out where that hole is, it's going to be in ADCC. And if there's a guy that doesn't give a single fuck, it's going to be either Rotolo brother. So that's that. I think, I don't know if I said it off the air or on the air. I hope for my sake it was on the air, but that was my only, if Cade is going to sub him,
you thought that would be the path?
Have guessed it. I didn't think it was going to be how it happened. I thought it was going to be I didn't think it would be an in transition counter heel hook. I didn't think that was going to happen, but I thought if Michael Galvao was going to take it, it was going to be a strong points mount performance on Cade.
Sure, yeah.
But it was fire. So again, after that, not going to bet against Michael Galvao for anything. Any other big news that we have? I think that's really the only pieces of news we have. You wrote stuff down. Oh yeah. Not really jiu-jitsu news, but just because I'm a big fan of Anderson Silva. He's fighting Jake Paul October 29th. Not relevant in any way, but if you have Fight TV from having it for Grapple Fest, it's on Fight TV, and so now Fight TV stuff pops up in my feeds because I have Fight Plus.
Okay.
And so it's hey, you can buy this. I'm
probably buy it.
I'll be disappointed with myself because I don't want to support Jake Paul, but
just wear a hoodie and sunglasses in your own house while you watch it, and it's all good.
Well, use my alternate credit card for Grappling Rewind. No, Grappling Rewind bought it, not me. So that's going on. Other than that, let's just talk. I think that's kind of ends it for news. We're going to preview a little bit. We'll talk about EBI 20, the absolutes here in a minute. But let's do Fight to Win first. Fight to Win 211 in Pittsburgh. Kind of a lot of late replacements on the card. The card was put together. There was a big pull for getting enough folks to register for the card to have it. So very happy that they were able to have it. I'm missing my notes here. Here we go. So we have two matches I want to talk about. We'll talk about the Dykeman match first.
Sure.
So Dan Dykeman had a really nice knee bar victory over Jake Temple, close to the top of the card. Dan has just been killing it on Fight to Win for a long time now. Yeah,
he had this pretty sick Kanye Basami entry that I thought was going to end up turning into inside heel hook, but ended up he rolled through for the knee bar, which was really sick.
Yeah, Dykeman's a dude that just I love watching him on Fight to Win because he's on Team No Sleep and he just throws he's the guy that embodies that rule set where he's hey man, I'm gonna be here all the time and I'm just gonna chuck subs at you until I put you away or I don't, but I'm just gonna keep running that game on you because we've seen him do kind of Basami before, which is that scissor leg takedown.
Yep,
it's legal at Fight to Win, and he does it from the outside and then kind of lands where he's still standing.
Yeah,
and then takes down. I saw Drew Darce do this to John Combs at the ADCC Open on my mat that I was judging. He did it, and we're seeing guys do it occasionally. They'll pull into this Kane Basame, but they won't immediately take the guy down. They'll almost do it as an outside guard pull.
And it's almost like you're trying to koala bear onto their leg, more so than trying to get the takedown.
Just on that same side leg, though.
Yeah.
And then you have a lot of pressure to you plant, because you're on their leg and kind of at their knee line, you plant their legs in place and they have to fall forward or backwards at that point. And it's really interesting. I've seen it twice now. Dan did it here, and then Dave Darce did it at the ADCC Open, and I was like, huh, that's really interesting. They're not, again, it looks kind of sketchy on the knee.
It can be. I think if you do it without planting your hand, so like if all of your weight jumps into the person's knee and they hyperextend their knee, that's where the danger lies, which is why a lot of different groups will ban it from their competitions, because they don't want to see people get hurt through like what could basically be like a strike. I mean, you're jumping your butt.
To the side of a guy's
knee. You're jumping your butt into the side of somebody's knee. Could definitely take them out of commission. But if you plant a hand in general, I'd say it's pretty safe, but it's like, how many people are actually doing it the correct way, you know?
Right. Or you can even, like Gary Tonin does it like the incorrect way. Sorry, Gary Tonin does it the jumping way.
Sure.
But he's really, really diligent about his foot placement and his sweep out.
Sure.
So he doesn't blow guys' knees out. But plenty of other guys, especially bigger dudes, tend to jump. And I've seen smaller guys do it too, but in the highlight videos, it's usually a bigger dude.
Sure.
Like falling into somebody's knee. But Dan does a great job here. Comes out, gets the outside knee bar. Really kind of interesting sequence, and kind of when I watched it, I went, huh, I'm curious to see if this particular entry, now that I've seen, it wasn't a fluke, I've seen it twice, we're going to see it kind of come to prominence in tournaments where that is allowed, because it seems to give you a lot of different options, and I just, like, it's not something that I've seen before, and now I've seen it twice in a month-and-a-half period going, like, there may be something there that I didn't really consider before. So next match, talk about Chris Dempsey taking on Jason Robinson. This is a main event for Pittsburgh. Chris Dempsey, like, top pressure and move through Robinson's guard. Yeah. Kind of unabated.
Yeah, Jason, he sits to half, and Chris kind of immediately does like a sit-through pass, which gets him into side control. And then he spent a lot of time in north-south and side control, kind of just controlling Jason without really throwing a lot of subs, just controlling for a long time. And then it seemed like once they finally kind of broken up, got into like a scramble where they stood up again, Jason pulls again, which I thought was kind of surprising. It's like, man, this guy's already kind of past my half guard. It made me think like, maybe half guard has to be a really big tool of Jason's.
Yeah, that's what it looked like, because he elected to go back to it after the stand-up and like didn't. And the entry was very, very similar, and Chris kind of does really the same thing. You know, Jason in the first one is able to get a little bit of a lockdown going. Yeah. But in the second time, Chris kind of disengages from the guard, moves outside, and then does just kind of a run around the outside. Yeah. Jason's unable to get his close side leg to kind of prevent the re-guard. And so Chris gets to north-south and just starts. We see him kind of lay in heavier and look much more for the north-south, like in that, like he was fighting it in the first kind of initial sequence that he passed. We saw him sort of going for it, but he looked like he was more so jockeying for position, looking to sort of tire Jason out and like keep him down. Yeah, for sure. In the first set before they stood up, it looked like Chris was trying to control more, maybe kind of see where the openings were, maybe kind of like prodded him a little bit, but wasn't throwing a whole lot of sub attempts. No, not really. And then the second series, once he gets past the guard again, we see him kind of lay down into the north-south choke and eventually like just finish the north-south choke. No arms. It wasn't the head and arm trap. It was just the straight north-south choke with the arms. Gets the tap, and that's, you know, that was the main event this weekend for Fight to Win. Really interesting. Again, don't see a whole lot of north-south chokes finished frequently. Right. So it is always really cool to see like a niche, I'm gonna call it a niche sub finished in a main event for Fight to Win. Sure. Because it's, again, especially at heavyweight nowadays, it's a heavyweight choke. But I would say in general you'd see it more in like the middle, like middle heavy and up. Yeah. Like if anywhere, like you rarely see it. Guys that look like Jeff Monson. Yeah. It's called the Monson choke for a reason. Yeah. Is because like, but Chris Dempsey actually doesn't finish it like Monson does. He finishes it like hand over hand, as opposed to Monson tends to make this big X with his hands behind your back, and he actually doesn't have his hands connected when he finishes the choke. I had to teach someone how to do this choke about not quite a year ago. They were like, how do I do this, Maine? And I was like, this is how you do it. And I had to like show them, and I was like, here. And I was like, wait, do I grab my hands? Like, no, you don't grab your hands together. It was very funny to like, it's not a choke I ever do. Yeah. But to teach a heavyweight of like, hey man, here's how to do this choke. And like, here's this weird gripping position that you have to use. But Chris Dempsey just does it hand over hand. Yeah. And gets a really quick tap. Beautiful finish. Yep. So that does it for Fight to Win. Again, kind of a quieter week for stuff that we cover. You know, again, after ADCC, there's typically a card or two, and then we do have this lull. Typically, this lull happens in November, December for us, but occasionally have a one-off week where there's just not a huge amount of events. Sure. So we have 2 events that are happening this next weekend, and then a couple of events happening the week of October 21st. Nogi Pans is this next week. We don't have any brackets for it, and I don't really love doing huge previews without brackets because it really comes on like who's going to show up, who's not going to show up, like who's going to DQ, who's going to move.
For sure.
You don't know what sides of brackets people are on, especially for the IBJJF Nogi. It always is. It's always up in the air for how they seed people because I think. Do you know if I'm right? If they're still going off of the GI rankings, or if they have separate?
I think it's overall rankings.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's also really difficult because it depends on who shows up for what events and who wins each event.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily mean the best. I mean, I'm saying that in kind of an obviously biased way, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the best person in a division will be the #1 seed.
No. It's IBJJF points. If you don't know how the points work for IBJJF, it's essentially, and so we're talking about, we don't have seeds yet right now, and we don't have brackets yet. So brackets are typically done by seeding for IBJJF, but for IBJJF, you get points based on what events you do. Like a local, smaller open will be a 1x multiplier. If you win your division, you'll get like a collection of points. If you get silver, you get points. If you get bronze, you get points. And for worlds, you need a certain amount of points to register as a black belt. If you do every local, like you do the Charlotte Open, you do the Boston Open, you do the Miami Open, you do, the Dallas Open, you do the Kansas City Open, and you consistently are like 3rd or 2nd or 1st winning these opens, or like you're scoring points in these opens.
Right.
But like you're not running into Devonte or Giancarlo Bodoni or like Shane, or like you can vary if you just consistently compete in the IBJJF, you accrue more points and earn more points. So you may have the #1 ranking, whereas like you're going to be ranked over Bushesha, who does worlds.
Right. I think if you're a world champion, I don't think you ever have to. I could be wrong on this.
No, you're correct.
If you're a world champion,
worlds, you don't have to
have the points to qualify.
And same thing for brown belt. Like brown belt, if you win brown belt worlds, you get a free entry into black belt worlds the following year, or like the following year, or like the next year you compete after getting black belt.
Gotcha.
But that's how Ty did it, because Kay didn't have the time in, but Ty did have the time in because Ty was the world champion at brown belt, so that's why he could fight Micah in the world championships.
Gotcha.
But generally points in IBJJF don't necessarily mean who's the best. They mean who most consistently places in the most events recently is really what it means. So extrapolate what that of you will. But we don't have any points. We don't have any rankings here for any of these. We just have some names. So we wanted to run through some of the names that we recognize. As I realize my screen is too far away and I don't have the eyes that I once used to have. There we go. So moving to male roosterweight, a couple of names we recognize, partially because they're local guys. We have Chris Tran in here from Crazy 88.
Yeah, constant competitor over the last few years. He's really good. So it'll be really interesting to see how far he goes in this division. And the other guy that I recognize here is we have David Zanario, who's from Vicente Jr., who's also from down the road from us, and we have Esteban Martinez. Yeah.
I'm going Esteban here. I'm not gonna make a lot of picks here.
Sure.
But
just off recognition and a quick scan, that's who I would think is pretty highly favored to win.
I think he won last time. Or I think he won Nogi Pans last time. I think he had like a north-south choke or a modified rear naked choke last time in the finals of Nogi Pans.
Yeah, and you got to think he's been training with Gabriel Souza. He's the R team, right?
Yep, they're both the R team.
Yeah, so you gotta assume he's been training with him in his run up to Pans.
I don't know how much they've trained together. I know they're both in North Carolina.
Yeah,
but I actually don't. I think we always bring this up, and I always forget if that's correct or if that's actually they're different. They're actually not. They don't train together.
Oh, really?
I don't remember.
That'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Fair enough.
So that's the division of 12. For light feather, we have a division of 15. We have Dennis Presley Jr. from he's listed under Atos, but I think he's under Chris Goodmancy. Under Logic in Philly. We have Lucas Pinero.
They're Atos, I think. I think Logic is Atos affiliate.
Affiliate. I know they're affiliated with Atos. I thought he was registering independently. You have Lucas Pinero from Atos International. And then you also have Pedro Serrano's in this division. You have Ray De Leon, Ray. I think it's always funny he's under John Jack Machado. He's not under 10th Planet because it's IBJJF.
Sure, yeah.
And then you have Hiago George in this, and Junior Casio from Unity. This is a fun one. There's a lot of guys that can make serious hay in light featherweight, especially with heel hooks being legal. You have some guys like Ocasio, really, really adept at the leg game, you know, really could shake it up now in the IBJJF. And Junie is dangerous in a ton of different places.
Of course.
We know him, especially in his recent matches, for like really hunting heavy
that's
on the legs.
Yeah.
Even since Purple Belt, we've watched him do that.
Sure.
So cool. Again, I can't harp that I'm so happy IBJJF in the adult divisions has heel hooks at black belt now. It is such a big game changer to make it like a more legitimate title.
Of course.
On the light feather, and the men's feather, we have a division of 20. We have Johnny Grippo coming back.
Yeah, really exciting to see how he competes. I haven't seen him. When's the last time we've seen him compete?
It was West Coast Trials, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
did he get injured? He got injured at West Coast Trials, didn't he?
Ooh,
that was the Sulabev stretch.
Yes,
that was that was Cisneros. Yep. So we rehabbed that. So again, Gianni Grippo looked amazing in Nogi in 2020, 2021. We saw him in the Emerald City Invitational a while ago, and he really surprised us with like the developments he had made in his game. On the Nogi side, again, always a perennial monster competitor, so it was really cool to see him back in this division under Marcelo Garcia still, which is cool. You know, he has his own team. We also have Bruno Frazada in here. We have Jordan Holy in here. We have Adam Benayu in here. We have Sir. I can never pronounce the guy.
Siraj Boudram.
Yeah, Siraj in here as well. We have Thomas Halpin in here, and we have let's see, Daniel Myers in here. Nicholas Salas is in here. Two guys from Movement up in Philly. Gavin Corbray from Standard. I think him and his brother. I think Gavin's in feather and his brother's in lightweight. Gavin's been shaking up a lot of stuff. Had some really close matches with Gabriel Souza on Toro Cup. I'm really interested to see how far Gavin goes here, because I think he can shock a lot of guys with his run at West Coast Trials and how he's looked recently against like guys like Souza.
Yeah, you still
really interesting.
You still have to think that Souza's the favorite to win this division. He's like the last name on here. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't get there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, João Gabriel Souza.
Yeah. So you have to think he's the favorite.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, like you said,
I would honestly like to see a rematch between them and the IBJJF. That would be kind of
different.
That would be kind of neat, significantly different. And so again, Souza's a hard guy to pick against, but this should be a really fun division. I think there's going to be a lot of matches that we're going to rewatch and go, ooh, that was spicy
for sure.
Men's lightweight, we have let's see. Nope, not that guy. I thought we have Johnny Tama in this division. We have Jonathan Gomez in this division. We have Eric Coe in this division. AJ Agazarm is in this division, and we also have. I really wish they'd list the names. Leandro Corbray as well, and Kieran Kirchik. So that should be interesting. This division for me is more up in the air. I'm kind of curious how AJ is going to do in Nogi, especially with the recent ADCC loss that he argued and all of that drama.
Yeah,
I mean, he consistently looks like he's able to compete in weight class. So I think he's. I mean, very clearly he's been doing it for years. He's on the level. It's just a matter of like, can he crack one of these bigger tournaments at black belt? Yeah, I don't know. He's such a weird dude to pick for, because you never know kind of where he's going to end up. Always hard to deal with though. Sure. And again, I'm curious what Kieran looks like. He looked amazing at trials. Yep. And then he broke his kneecap or something, or broke his femur, or. I didn't know that. Yeah, he broke one of the events. I think it was in Emerald City. It was one of the events recently. He broke a rib. He broke his ribs. And I forget, and he was basically posted a picture of him at the ER because he dropped out of, it was a finishers. I think it was Midwest Finishers. He beat someone, and then they moved on because he couldn't continue because he was injured. Gotcha. It was a really fun match. But yeah, so hopefully he's healed up from the rib injury, and he's good to go. So I'm curious to see, because he looked amazing in that tournament. I think he was seeded to win that. On to middleweight, we got Vinicius Wong in here. We got Michael Langley. Yeah. As well. We got Michael Perez in here from Atos. We have Gunther Barbosa Nascimento in here. We have Igor Nascimento in here. We have Victor Henrique Silva. We have Jed Hugh as well out of Europe. We have Oliver Taza in here registered under Henzo, and James Partridge as well from Triton Fight Center or Brothers Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
So this one's fun. I'm curious to see how Taza looks. Taza's done well at no-gi pans before. I think he has, when heel hooks became on the menu at IBJJF, like Taza showed up and gave a lot of guys hard times because he was a very, very good heel hooker, and a lot of people didn't know what to do. They were straight up IBJJF guys. So this one's fun. I don't really have a good pick for this one.
Yeah,
it should be fun. This
initially
is
you'd say Taza or Langi with the rule set, but
yeah,
it's kind of a crapshoot. I think
it is tough. A division of 23, a lot of guys in the division. Really will depend on seeding for a lot of it. Medium heavy, we have Austin Ordinary. We have Jamie Soares Canuto, former world champion from GF team. Gabriel Argis in here. Manuel Hibamar in here. Hunter Colvin in here. Jefferson Garaci in here. This one, Felipe Silva is in here from Unity.
Yeah, Sean DeMarco.
Yeah, Sean DeMarco. This is
probably, to me, so far, from what we've covered so far, this is the most stacked division so far.
Yeah, I'm honestly curious to see how Gasari does, because he looked amazing at the Open, and he's always been on the radar, but he's not a guy we talk about a ton on the show. I am hot on him after seeing him at the ADCC Open. He was on my mat for the pro division, and I was really, really impressed with how he looked a lot of the matches, and just consistent. Like, he has a speed. He kind of injured his knee, so I'm not sure if he still has a knee injury kind of after that. Then he did the Absolute after, but very, very curious to see how he does. He actually ended up losing to Couch in the Absolute there for the Open, but yeah, very, very. I'm gonna keep my eye on Garaci here because he just really, really impressed me at the Open and been on the level for a long time. Medium under the heavyweight division, we have Felipe Andrew from Alliance. That's my pick. What else? No, not really.
Hot take.
We have Freddie Vosgrove in here. We have Elder Cruz in here. We have Gabriel Almeida in here. We have Wagner Hosha in here. I don't know if Wagner's going to be in here because I don't know how fucked up his leg is post ADCC.
Yeah, that'd be a question for sure.
Yep. Lucas Norat's in here. We have, and those are the big names that I recognize because everything is written in Portuguese, and we always miss names because Pedro Silva's in here as well. I don't know. I've honestly, if Wagner's fine, I'd be really curious to see how that goes. Elder Cruz is also a good pick. Freddie Vosgrove has also looked really, really good. He's also a guy that, they can show up and give guys a super hard time. We've trained with before.
Right.
This is a weird one.
Who's that?
Wagner. I'm going to go, if Wagner's good, Wagner's a monster to deal with for anyone.
Yeah.
Moving on to the super heavyweight division, Felipe Trovo. We have Jackson Batista. We have Jose Henrique Cardosa. We have Patrick Gaudio. Keenan is in here as well. Keenan Cornelius.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting. Because Keenan hasn't competed no-gi since, last ADCC that we saw him? Can you think of an event after that?
It had been 17.
Yeah.
Was it that? No, it had to be something after that.
Yeah, I'm sure he's done something, but, he's been really focused on his gym lately, but...
And in the gi, but have we seen... Did he do...
I think he did 2019 as well.
ADCC? No.
No?
Because he had the eye thing.
That's right.
He pulled out because of the eye thing. When everyone else was like, nah, we're good. Keenan was like, hey, guys, I have this thing. I can't compete. And everyone was like, oh, yeah, we don't have the thing. It's crazy. And then you looked at everyone's eyes at 2019, and they all had viral pink eye.
Yeah, and, pink eye. The pink eye debacle of 2019, yeah.
Yep. No, because he's one of the only guys that pulled out from it and was like, yeah, I got to pull because I got the thing.
That's right. You're right. Man, I'm trying to think. Let me pull it up here. The last time he did Nogi.
He has more credential than Nogi. He has multiple ADCC medals. Like, I think, is he Nogi world champion?
He might be.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me. Like, Keenan.
Yeah.
He's just a phenomenal Nogi competitor. And apparently, so I talked to somebody on Reddit, and they were talking about, like, he's been doing a ton of Nogi recently. Like, the gym's been doing a ton of Nogi. So it's real. It'll be very interesting to see, like, what Keenan looks like, because we saw him versus I'm blanking on the last time, because really he opened up Legion and then he didn't compete a whole lot after that.
Yeah,
like, he really focused on like doing that. And
according to BJJ Heroes, last time last time he's competed was 2020. Okay. It was on a fight to win against Mateus Luna. Okay. So fight to win 148 against Mateus Luna, and he won a rest decision.
Yep. That was gi though, I think.
I'd have to look. It doesn't say whether it's gi or no gi.
I think that was gi. I wish BJJ Heroes would do that.
That would be cool.
That would be, because now you have to remember events, but for stuff like fight to win, like it can be both. So it can be sometimes really, really hard to just remember what it was.
He's also on Who's Number One in that same year against Roberto Jimenez.
That was Roberto Jimenez's debut. That was the first Who's Number One main event.
Yep.
And Jimenez beat him.
Yep, 6-4.
Yeah, that was a really interesting. That's when they still had points. That was one of the first points events that they ran.
So yeah, really curious to see how Keenan does with, like, I don't want to call it like his comeback, because he's still been on the scene and been teaching. But
I think that's competitive comeback. It's been 2 years. Like,
yeah, that's true.
2 years is a long time, and Keenan's also been competing since he was a kid.
Yeah.
So like you're talking about a guy that, when was his brown belt, purple belt and brown belt run?
2012, 2013 ish.
Was it that late?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, like 10 years as a black belt, like. Yeah, and he's talking about all his injuries and the back injury he had and the knee injury. So it's, again, very much a comeback. Super curious to see how he does, just where he's at.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see who's else. We have Devonte Johnson in the division. We have Helton Jose Jr. in this division, and Diego Ramallo in this division. For me, the kind of talking point is like, where is Keenan at? We talked about that, but I think Gaudio is a monster to get past. Devonte is a monster to get past. Helton Jose Silva is a monster to get past. And Trovo's like no slouch either. So yeah, this is still a weird division. A division of 14 in total, so still pretty decent sized bracket. Definitely going to see some of those names. We're going to see Keenan run into one of those big name guys.
For sure. He's the one I think to look out for, just to kind of see where he is and where he still stacks up amongst the world's greats.
I mean, I'm definitely going to watch Keenan. I'm definitely going to watch all of his matches. He should have 3 matches. In around at 16, you'll have 4.
Yes. There's 14 in the division.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You're going to make me do math, dude.
Well, first round, second round, third. You have 4 matches. Or 3 matches if it gets a bye, essentially. So, you know, at least watch Keenan's matches to see, like, where he's at.
For sure.
Ultra heavyweight division. We have a division of 10. We have Haisam Rita in here. We have Igor Schneider. We have Max Jimenez. And those are the big names that I recognize.
Yep.
Really, it's like the big question for everyone is like, how does Haisam look? Like, where is he at after that sub and Cyborg and ADCC? Everyone's like, all right, well, Heisam's the guy now.
Yeah.
So can he replicate? And again, he's so strong in no-gi. Have we seen him compete in gi as a black belt, other than the thing he did in Angola? He had a super fight in Angola.
Not that I can recall.
A couple of years ago. I think that was a gi match, but I don't remember the last time we've seen him since purple or brown in the gi. He might have done. No. He did an IBJJF Open in the gi and then in no-gi. He did both.
Okay.
I remember that now. But we typically see him in no-gi, but it's, again, my question is, how does Haisam look?
Sure, of course.
Like, shout out to Haisam, because he remembers the show. I met him at ADCC, and he was like,
yeah, super nice guy.
Super nice guy. And he looked down, and he recognized the shirt, and I was like, fuck yeah, that was one of my coolest ADCC moments, was Haisam looking down and looking at the shirt and like pointing, going, oh, it's you guys.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's up? So that was a cool moment. I think I posted that on the story for Instagram. At Grappling Rewind, if you want to see stuff like that. And then Max, like, how does Max look? Because Max kind of like said he was going to step away and kind of focus on MMA, and then came back and did ADCC, looked pretty good.
Yeah, he had a good match with Orlando Sanchez and won.
And then I forget who his second round was. I'm blanking on the second round for Max.
I'm not quite sure. I have to look.
So that'll be, yeah. I'm very curious. I would love to see I'd love to see Jimenez versus Rita. That would be a fun matchup. They're probably opposite sides of the bracket. But again, IBJJF seeding is kind of weird.
It was Felipe Pena.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We also have Igor Schneider in here from Dream Art. I missed his name earlier. So that should be a very fun division.
Yep.
Moving on to the female divisions. So again, kind of a lot of up in the air for no-gi pans.
Yep.
Female division, we have Laviana Vasconcelli Barbosa from Checkmat. We have Jennifer Gonzaga and Amber Freitas for the Roosterweights for 3. Division of 7 for light featherweight. We have Jessica Crane in this division. We have Maisa Bastos.
Yeah, she's got to be the favorite coming off of ADCC. I'd imagine she'd be the favorite to win that division.
Yeah, we saw her versus Mosquita,
Mm-hmm.
and looked very, very good versus Mosquito, who's been ADCC champ before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to bet against Bastos coming out of Unity.
Not at all.
We also have My Bow Win coming out of Standard, which is local to us. So that's cool. Division of 6 for female featherweight division. We have Anna Rodriguez in this division from Dream Art. And then we also have Sajla Lima Perina, from Dream Art as well. I'm struggling. Oh, Alex Enriquez as well from Atos Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm missing other names, but again, full names always kind of throws me off because we've been in ADCC mode for so long. I haven't had to pull an IBJJF list in a long time, and I'm going, ooh, I forgot people's actual names.
Yeah,
when they're listed out. Female lightweight, we have division of 8. We have Jasmine Rocha making what I think is her black belt debut.
Yeah, I don't think she's competed at black belt yet. That'd be really cool.
It'll be really interesting. Aaron Johnson. We have Claire North as well from TAC Team. Emily Elizabeth Fernandez from Bruno Bastos. So that'll be fun. Again, I'm really curious to see how Jasmine looks at black belt.
Mm-hmm.
Making her black belt debut. It's always really interesting to see, female purple belts go to brown belt, then go to black belt, because usually I always find that most female black belts, there is like a kind of a 1 or 2 year curve where like the level of competition jumps and there's an adjustment period. And it is that way for men's divisions as well, but we're seeing kind of less of that recently with guys like Marco Gaval taking first year world titles. But curious to see how Rocha, moves into the black belt ranks.
For sure.
Neither would really surprise me, but it would be really cool to see her kind of come out guns blazing quickly. Middleweight division, we have Elizabeth Clay, we have Vanessa Griffith, and we have Jessica Birchman. Division of 5 total. We have Anna Paulina Nascimento as well from Fight Sport. So it should be a very fun division. I think Elizabeth and Vanessa have gone against each other a couple of times. I forget how that plays out. I'm curious to see what we're gonna see from Clay coming out of ADCC.
Right, exactly.
Kind of being in that kind of shape, and kind of she was as dynamic as her game was at middleweight. Medium heavyweight division of 6. We have Chloe McNally in this division, Jordan Patrick, Bridget Grace, Thalita Silva, and Veda Toscano, Checkmat New York. This one's hard to pick. Chloe McNally has looked really good out of Unity. So has Talita, and so has Veda. Veda's been around for a long time. Be really, really interesting. Also, Bridget McLeese out of Henzo's Academy in the division as well. The female heavyweight division, one person. No one wants that smoke. Rafaela Geddes coming in. I think it's really funny. It's unfortunate because I want to see Geddes compete, but it's just like they saw her ADCC leg kicking people, and they were like, no, I'm good. I'm good for Nogi for Geddes. So she, Geddes, if she shows up, is your female heavyweight gold medalist for Nogi Pans. Again, I really would love to see more women in that division because Geddes is an exciting fighter, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Super heavyweight, we have Mariana Costodo and Natalia DeJesus. So that should be a fun final between those two ladies. Yeah, it's
like a super fight.
Basically.
Yeah.
So that does it right now. I think they're closed. So that's all we're going to have. Hopefully we'll get brackets in the next couple of days, and then we can, talk about them, or, internally we can look at them, and that should be fun. But yeah, that's Pans. So not a whole lot else to preview this week. We have UWW, which we kind of talked about not having any information for. Hopefully, we'll have at least be able to run through the finals for that. Right. But UWW has historically been really difficult to cover. Austin and I spent probably an hour plus before the show, looking and trying to
track down some names for athletes or anything.
Literally even an athlete registration list, and we couldn't find one. So it will all depend on what we can find for next week. If we're going to cover it, if we're not going to be able to cover it, that'll be what it is. Other than that, we got EBI. Talk a couple minutes about EBI now, because we don't have brackets yet for EBI, so I don't want to go too far into the weeds on EBI. But EBI Absolutes is back. Possible $50,000 prize. On Instagram, they listed out they have 60 men for this, so they listed out 4 names in each picture. And Austin and I were kind of talking before the show that was probably like the person you're going to get in each quadrant for your 16s. So so kind of, this is kind of piggybacking on what you're saying. Each picture has 4 people in it, like Maine was saying, but it seems like each one of those pictures is almost like this picture is all of the number 1 seeds in each quadrant of each bracket. Yeah, basically.
This picture is all of the number 2 seeds. Here's all the qualifiers. Here's all the number 3 seeds. That's how it seemed to me. I mean, you can deep dive or tinfoil hat as much as you want, but
kind of how, because you don't have a bracket yet. And I looked at how I would seed this, and I'm like, so the first quad. The top 4, we have Nicky Rod, ADCC silver medalist, Hyson Reed, that big sub over cyborg, Kyle Bane, ADCC entrant, Giancarlo Bodoni, your under 88 kilogram champion for ADCC. You ain't gonna have many people in this bracket that are above these guys.
Yeah, credential-wise, they have to be all the number 1 picks.
Exactly. You cannot put Nicky Rod and Bodoni anything but 1 and 2.
Right.
Like, you can't do it. It makes no sense.
Sure.
I think, honestly, because Nicky Rod's the bigger dude, you probably give him the 1 seed. He's also 2-time silver medalist.
I think if you do it like the way, like I'm thinking of it as like almost like college basketball or something, where you have 4 number 1s and 4 different sides. So you have like a...
Is that how college basketball does it?
I think so.
Is that how much Madness works?
But they also have like 64 teams or something to start. But either way, if you have like 4 number 1 seeds, maybe this is 1 through 16, and then what I'm saying doesn't matter. But if you're looking at a number 1 seed in each corner, then I think Nicky Rod, Hyson, Kyle, and Giancarlo are all in their own quadrant.
Oh, you have like AFC West or AFC or something like that? Or
sure, I don't know sports
Big
like
10
that.
East, I don't know.
But I'm just saying, just to make it easy, like if you have 1, 2, 3, and 4, then you have 1s in all of those, 2s in all of those, 3s in all of those, and 4s in all of those.
And that's why I think they're going to seed it.
Sure.
Next, so that's the first bracket. That's the first group of 4 guys we have. The next, what I think we thought was the second, your number 2 seed in essentially each of those quadrants was going to be, if I can pull up the picture, Elder Cruz, Luke Griffith, Roosevelt Souza, and Stefan Martinez. Yep. Now, the only thing that's interesting about this is you have Elder Cruz, Luke, and Roosevelt all in ADCC.
Yeah.
But you also have one more guy in ADCC, Isaac Michelle, who's not in this bracket, who's not in this quad. And that's the only thing I'm curious about is like...
That's true. Maybe they assumed... experience-wise, like just looking at credentials, and then maybe size-wise too. I don't know.
It was interesting though, because you had all your ADCC guys, like, and then you had they like had good performances at ADCC,
for sure,
and then you had your other ADCC guys that had okay performances at ADCC. Like Souza looked really good, and Cruz looked really good, but they didn't have the name recognition, I think, as the guys in the first bracket. Like the first bracket is like ADCC guys. You have long-standing name recognition.
I mean, pretty much you have ADCC medalists or multiple-time ADCC competitors if you look at the first 4 guys.
Yes. And then, so it's interesting you have Stefan Martinez, not Isaac Michelle, in this bracket. And I just kind of realized that as we were talking. I'm like, that's a little interesting.
Let's be really clear. We're calling it brackets, but we're really looking at pictures of 4 people.
Yeah,
they have not bracketed anything. You're just speculating wildly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As we do at the end of the show. If you made it this far in the show, you're used to what we do at the end of the show, which is speculate wildly without brackets. Which I think is why everyone else on the team hates doing bracket speculation. I'm the only guy that's like, how are they going to end up?
I don't mind it.
Thanks, Austin. I appreciate it. So that was the second one. We also, in the third picture group, we have Isaac Michelle, Travis Moore, Austin Baker, Dan Martinez, and in the fourth one, we have all our qualifiers. So we have Pat Shangoli, our recent 10th Planet qualifier. I've watched about half of that qualifier so far. Pat looks really good. We have Angel Lugo, who is your Mexican trials winner, your Mexican qualifier winner, Enrique Zerta, which is your Argentinian qualifying winner, and Andre Porfirio, who is your U.S. qualifying winner. And you can kind of seed them wherever you're going to seed them. I've seen guys saying that Shangoli should be like 15th. You can make an argument. I think that's reasonable. You put Porfirio above him, and then maybe you put Shangoli as your in-house qualifier for 10th Planet as your 15th, which is usually how they're seeded. They're usually seeded 15th or 16th.
You would think everybody in that picture group would be going against everybody in the first picture group, the Nicky Rod, Haisam Rita, Kyle Baum, Giancarlo group in the first round. But who knows?
Yeah, who knows? And then, so yeah, it'll be interesting. I think for this, it's very interesting because I think that Bodoni always comes in with a like all the first. I think you're gonna have upsets here,
sure,
but I would be really surprised to see an upset of the guys in the first quad there.
Yes,
like
100%.
Anyone. It would be, for me, it would be a true upset of like Bodoni coming off ADCC champion, like. I got catching a heel hook on him like we saw a couple years ago. I don't see that as like a reasonable possibility. Nicky Rod catching a heel hook on him like Gordon did. Like you're not Gordon Ryan, probably not going to catch that on him. Yeah. Also, good luck getting out of his back control or finishing him when you're on his back.
Right.
Haisam Rita, like again has had some issues with leg locks in the past, but like very few people finish like Haisam does and just tear it off of you like Rita does. And then Kyle Bane, super experienced, even who a lot of guys point to as one of the best guys at the ADCC, sorry, at the EBI rule set. Like a lot of guys point to Bane, so it's like maybe he's not going to be able to sub you in regulation, but we've seen him do it in regulation before. But he's a dude that's a monster when he has your back or has your arm, so that's a big X factor for Bane. Yeah, it'll be fun. Do you got a pick for this one yet? I guess shot in the dark.
Shot in the dark, man. I'm gonna go Nicky Rod or Giancarlo, but I'm tending towards Nicky Rod just size wise.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking this is an overtime thing, and I think that Giancarlo is good enough to get out of Nicky Rod's back control.
Sure,
but I think that if Nicky Rod is on and can just like crunch, it's possible he could finish Bodoni, or he could hold Bodoni there long enough. The other thing is, how good is Bodoni's leg defense or offense gotten training with Gordon Ryan, who just recently subbed Nicky Rod? Like, how much do they know about Nicky Rod's tendencies, and can they continue to play into that so close to ADCC?
I also wouldn't count out Roosevelt Souza as well. I know he's not in our first picture group, but I don't know. He looked really good at ADCC.
Made it today too until he ran into Gordon.
Yeah, and then he beat Haisam.
Then you run into fucking Gordon. Yeah, it's like it's Gordon, so it doesn't really count.
Yep,
it's weird we don't count that. It's just like it's Gordon. It was like it's Gordon.
Yeah, you just assume he's gonna win.
Yeah, well, he kind of shows us that he is. So you really can't hold that loss against Roosevelt because it's Gordon. So he doesn't run into Gordon. It's kind of like the Hulk problem. Like Hulk doesn't run into Gordon in 2019. Like Gordon's like, Hulk wins. He doesn't run into me. He wins. And it was so funny to have Gordon say that. I'm like, oh, that's really Gordon can be weirdly complimentary at certain points of people, and it's just like, he doesn't run into me. He wins that. And then Roosevelt Souza was absolutely on a pathway to doing that. He would run to Nicky Rod next. So it's curious. So that's EBI 20. Again, don't want to spend too much time. Possible $50,000 prize. I hope that someone gets that money.
Yeah.
I hope we see subs all the way through. It's on Fight Pass. We also have Medusa happening next week as well, the day before. That's the women's only jiu-jitsu event. There's some great names on that. Shreddy Pun is on that. Fatima Climb is on that. There's a CJJ event and an EBI event running kind of at the same time for that. So that should be fun. The women's CJJ events are fun. We may or may not cover the CJJ part of it, but definitely we'll probably end up covering Medusa if we can in 2 weeks. So hopefully we'll have a bracket out by then to preview it for next week after Pans. But yeah, that does it. What should we look like?
A lot of jiu-jitsu, like normal. Hopefully after I get over whatever this weird cold sickness, not COVID thing is.
Head cold.
Yeah, head cold. And then that's pretty much it. Learning Python, which is
a nightmare.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like, I'm at such a green level of doing it that it's like people will ask me, like I tell people, oh yeah, I'm learning Python. They're like, oh, have you heard about XYZ? And I'm like, I don't know the words you're saying yet.
Learning Python.
Yeah, learning.
I'm a white belt in Python.
Yeah, white belt, one stripe.
Terms like I know it.
White belt, one stripe.
Yeah. I loaded Python once on my computer, and I was like, this is neat.
Yeah.
Hello, world. I was like, that's as far as I'm going to get. And I closed the program.
And then just like the first 10 minutes.
I had to run something from a command line, and I was like, nope.
That was it.
I don't have look. I know what a command line does, and I know I do not have the competency. The only thing I run a command line is I run FFmpeg.
All right.
I run FFmpeg for some time lapse stuff I do on command line, and then I figured out that Final Cut Pro just does it better. And like it's like I can do it through command line.
Yeah, I feel like if you don't have a
just do it. And
if you don't have a reason to do it, a reason to learn it, then don't.
It was like an exercise for some time lapse stuff, and then I was like, nope, I'm just gonna do it with Final Cut Pro.
Yep.
And that's what I'm gonna do. So
don't need to automate any big data. Don't learn Python.
Nope. So that sounds like a fun thing. Yeah. Going up to coach in Philly this next weekend. So that should be fun. Good times. And then
hell yeah, you're competing this week too.
I am competing.
Hell yeah. I want to blow up your spot. If somebody.
I just read.
Snipe a win off Maine and Rewind.
I mean that's fine. I'm like I'm a broken back dude. You'd be fine. Not about that smoke. So now first time competing in a while. So it will be good to get out there and do that in Philly.
Hell yeah.
I'm going up to Philly for the day, and I was like, well, I'm coaching. I might as well. Like I was like, registration closes tomorrow. I was like, I registered this morning. I was like, okay, I'll go.
That's how to do it.
There's guys. There were guys in my weight class. That was the thing. It's like, or the guys close enough to my weight class, but like they'll move me there.
Sure.
So that will be fun.
Yeah, that's the struggle with upper belt locals is finding the matches.
Yeah, there's been a bunch. There's like 4 of them this year that I was going to do. That are like, oh, there's no one in bracket. Oh, there's no one within like a belt level of me. You're like, well, cool. I guess I'm going to go coach this.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, there's been 3 tournaments that I looked at this year where like I would not have gotten a match, and it's just like, okay, I don't have any interest in register. I waited till like I did the thing I hate people doing, which is like there was no more bracket, so I didn't register either. But it was like close. It was like I'm not really amped for this, and also like they were smaller events anyway, where it's like, oh yeah, the blue belt brackets aren't that like big.
Right.
Like my bracket's not going to be big at all.
Sure.
And it's like these are a little big enough. And Philly's got some different people that I haven't competed against in a bit.
Good.
So it will be fun.
Hell yeah.
So I'm excited.
Best of luck.
And I'm way out of shape, so I'm at 155 now.
Oh my god, so fat.
Because I looked at I stepped on the scale before I registered a couple days ago, and I went, let's see, can I get 45? And then at 153, I went, no, I can't.
Not worth it.
Not worth it. So that'll be fun. So I'm looking forward to that. So
yeah.
I'll be all banged up next Monday for recording.
Yeah, get videos for it. We can review your footage.
No, let's not.
Not on the show. That's
in
general.
No, let's not waste everyone's time.
No,
I have footage of every single comp match ever that I've ever done.
Yeah, you should. That's awesome.
Yep. From for the past almost 10 years. So just like you watch me at like white and blue, I'm like, I'm terrible. I won.
Hell yeah.
That's fun. So, all right. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine, my co-host,
Austin.
We have the Grappling Rewind. You see on the mat what it is. Stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.